Dear Lord, do you have an employee on your team, or maybe you're an employee listening to this, where you feel so called out in meetings or thrown under the bus, or these other terminologies that I hear that are incredibly low vibration and employee mentality? If this is occurring in your firm, maybe you're experiencing this from a colleague, and or maybe you feel this way yourself. That's okay. We're here to debunk it, and we're here to give you some fuel to overcome this. If this is where you're sitting in or experiencing within your role or your firm, it is time for a hard power the pause and a hard restart. When you hire right, when you train right, when you onboard right, you don't have people that feel like they're in trouble or that they're, being called out or any of these other things. It's an opportunity to go back to basics. Number one, you're in your interviewing process and your onboarding process. Are you incredibly clear about your core values? Do you know your house rules of engagement? Are you reviewing them in your weekly meetings and seeing where we're in alignment with them, where we're integrity within them? In my business, in the firms that I coach during the interviewing process, in the firms that we recruit and interview for, immediately we say, number one core value, number one house rule of engagement is that we are a culture of accountability. We have upfront conversations in real time. We have adult conversations, and we don't hold on to stories and stuff. We lead with facts and data, not emotions. When we are triggered, when we are feeling misunderstood, we stop and we have a conversation and bring it to somebody who can do something about it in real time. There are no meetings after the meetings or emails after the meetings. If you are experiencing that, this is a great opportunity to go back to basics with your team and make sure you have 8 players and adults on your team first and foremost. If not, or you're uncertain, great opportunity to re-enroll people. Because when people make these comments about feeling called on the carpet, misunderstood, it probably is starting from your hiring process. It is starting from that you're not having weekly stakeholders meetings and you haven't outlined your house rules of engagement and reviewing them every single week. I time it for the firms that I run. It's under 2 minutes to review them and do a quick check-in on how we're doing with them. If you're confused and you don't know what this means, respond and we'll send you a sample copy. No excuses. But if we mess up, we own it. We are demonstrate, we are deliberate, and we overcompensate to take ownership and then talk about what we're going to do for a turnaround. We don't shift blame. We don't point blame. Nobody's ever in trouble. In fact, we love when somebody comes in, they're like, hey, Susie, just FYI, we see that we're missing 5 initial consultations on our ideal week for this week. What's your plan to fill the calendar? You're like, oh my God, thank you so much. It was in my planning on Friday, and I totally had to leave at the last minute. My daughter broke her arm or what have you. I dropped the ball. Thank God we have this meeting. Thank God we have a culture of accountability. I'm super pumped. So after this meeting, I was going to assemble binders. I was going to do blah, blah, blah. Who can step up and do that? Because my number one priority is to fill the calendar. And I already know I have a pipeline, as we can see here in the reporting, of 370 people that I can follow up. I'm incredibly confident I'm going to fill the calendar. Who's got my back? Imagine that versus, well, or the deer in the headlights, like, stop it. If you are an employee listening to this, it is time to go back to basics and go to your team leaders, your what have you, and be like, guys, we need a team retreat. We need to talk about our core values, our house rules of engagement, and talk about what data and information we need to come to our weekly stakeholders meeting, what our top 3 priorities are for the week. So I don't feel like crap every single week or feel like my head's on the chopping block. Because if you're in intake, you're in client services, you're in sales, you're in marketing, you're responsible for the calendar, so go the calendar, so cash flow. Guess what? You're either everybody's hero and they love you, or your head's on the chopping block, and you know that's a dealio. You know how that rolls, and you're ready for the challenge, and you love it. because you know your numbers, you know your planning and what have you. And yes, you may drop the ball. And yes, these things happen. But when people remind you, like, you know what? I freaking love my team that they got my back and they're reminding me this. I might be an 8 quick starter. I got 42 balls going in the air, but I love it. You did that. Let's have a conversation. I have a capacity issue. What we want to do about it, people. These are the type of conversations you should be having. If you're not having them, if you're struggling, no more suffering silence. Reach out. Let's get on a call and let's turn this ship around by the end of this week.
I'm so tired of micromanaging. How do I train, manage, and lead? I can't find time to be visionary. Head down in the weeds.